Hello, it's me. Hello, it's me. Um, my topic for the day is my coping through the breast cancer with young children. When I was diagnosed originally, one of the first questions I was asked was, do I have any children? And oh my God, for me, someone who always wanted children, I was just so grateful to be able to say yes, because I just had this feeling that what they were basically saying is you may not be able to have children. Basically, the chemotherapy would reduce my chances of naturally bearing children, as it was likely to bring on an early menopause. So I guess one point of it was, thank God I had children, and then obviously my concerns instantly were, oh my God, I have children to look after. What am I going to do? What are they going to do? This is awful. This is awful for them. This is not, I don't want this to be their story. I don't want this to be, their, hey, my mum died when I was young story of cancer. So throughout this whole journey, I'll break it down a little bit. Chemotherapy and kids. I didn't feel as though I wanted to play all the time, surprisingly enough. There were many days where I was extremely tired and my creativity doesn't flow so much when I'm tired, that I realise. And therefore, the idea of playing games was not really my priority. I was more interested in sleeping, if possible, a little nap for mummy, please. So I ended up a lot of the time in the kids' room, lying down on their bunk bed, whilst my younger one would bring an array of toys close by, and we'd try and play role play games, with the little men. And say, hello, hi, who are you, mummy, what are we doing, blah blah blah. So there was a lot of that. Unfortunately, there was probably too much screen time in our house, where I would just want a little bit of peace. So the DVDs came out, the iPads came and have stayed so far. Any form of play that would allow me to sit back a little bit without having to physically run around and hide and seek and climb on my shoulders and those kind of games that we usually used to play, rough and tumble. So it was that side of things. There was also the side when I did have some energy, just going for a walk in the park was good enough. Luckily, we live right across the road from a park. That was the good days. On the days where I really knew I couldn't cope with the two children at home, I'm blessed to have amazing people around me. Family, friends, neighbours have been wonderful. All helped out, whether it was just popping by really and asking how things were made a big difference, because it broke up your day and you just snap back into, how are things? Why am I so stressed out today? Is it the kids' fault? What can I do about it? Or going for a walk in the park with another and their children took a lot of pressure off of me, or just taking them out for half an hour, half a day. Brilliant. Great for the kids too. So there was that side of things. The kids actually forced me to get up every day, get washed, get dressed, get breakfast on the table, and function. You know, while I was on chemo, I was still able to collect them from school. I was driving around. I was making sure I had plenty of rest in between, but I was still able to function. Okay, then there was the time following my operation where I actually decided, because my children are so playful and lively, after my operation, I remember being asked, was I ready to go home? And I almost felt a little bit anxious, because as much as I missed my children after being in hospital for like 7 days after the operation, I was worried that I would be going home all fragile and tense, and I wouldn't want the children to come near me, and I didn't want them to feel that they were being a hindrance or that they were causing me pain. I just felt so vulnerable. I actually opted to go elsewhere for a bit more rest for another 5 days, actually, until I'd got to grips with my body, my capabilities, got my head around a few things, and allowed myself a bit of space before actually going home. And the big difference it made for me was that when I did go home, I was literally, I was so excited. I was so excited. And I knew that they could give me a hug and it wouldn't hurt, basically. So that was the right thing for me to do. And when I got home, there was plenty of help from the kids were at school. They were going to after school club. My youngest one had a wonderful friend mind them for us for after school until the same time my eldest one finished school. So they were easy times, and I just made sure we were supported throughout. So the question of how did I do this? How have I survived? How have I managed with 2 young children? The question really is, how would I have managed without my 2 young children? Because as much as some days may have seemed longer and harder work, without them, I think the hardest work would have been the mental work of finding a reason to get up and keep going and keep pushing through, and one foot in front of the other. So if you don't have children and you're having to face something like the breast cancer treatment plan, or you're just getting through some stuff and you're like, yeah, well, I've got nobody, and how can I feel? I feel so lonely. How do I do this by myself? My advice would be to find a reason. It's somehow very strange, but it's a fact that it's easier to achieve something on the behalf of someone else than it is on behalf of ourselves sometimes. So find a reason. If it's not nieces and nephews or a member of family that looks up to you or relies on you, then find that reason to get up every day. Love you.